gente, meu nome é Reti, sou da Gana, mas moro nos Estados Unidos. Hoje vou contar como aprendi português em 30 dias. So let me start by saying that this was not self. I'm a master's student in Spanish, and it's a language requirement that I had to take. We use this book in 30 days. Perspectivas. Português para falantes de espanhol. So this is a book tailored for Spanish speakers who are learning Portuguese, and this was a book that we used. So I'm not lying, it's true. In this video, I'm going to tell you what actually we did and to what extent I was able to learn my Portuguese. Now before I continue, I want to tell you that one of the biggest reasons why learning Portuguese in 30 days was so easy for me was the foundation I have in Spanish. You bring a Portuguese text right now, I can translate anything for you. If I see a Portuguese text on the internet, I can translate, I can understand everything. If I see a Brazilian speaking, I can understand everything. But unfortunately, I cannot speak it that way. I would say my Spanish level is C1, and so that makes learning Portuguese very easy. I have told myself that never ever in my life would I learn Portuguese because of some reasons which I will tell you very soon in my next video, so check that out. I would say it's closer to Spanish than Italian is closer to Spanish. A friend of mine messaged me and said, "Hey Hattie, I heard that French and Spanish are very similar, like tree and fanti." I'm from Ghana, and when we talk about tree and fanti, they are very similar languages. What two languages are going to go together is Spanish and Portuguese. And with that, I'm going to explain in another video. Whatever I learned in class was mostly based on reading and translation skills. And so we were not focusing so much on speaking. That's why my speaking is so bad. But we were mostly focusing on reading, being able to read a text and being able to translate a text. Every Friday we wrote an exams, and the exams included the grammar and translation. So I'm going to run you through what we did every week, and I hope that can also help you for any language that if you are already a Spanish learner or a Spanish speaker and you want to learn Portuguese, if you're able to do it this way, it's going to go another way to help you. So in the first week, this is what we did. We did sounds, we did numbers, we did days, months, pronouns, conjugation of sentences, that articles. We looked at interrogative words like quando, como. We looked at gostarte, like the way we used to make gusta in Spanish. The Portuguese we learned was a Brazilian. And then we did a grammar exam on the Friday and did a translation exam on the first week. So after learning, on the Fridays we were not going to learn, we were just going to write exam and do revision. So imagine you studying Portuguese for 4 days and you're already translating a text on the 5th day. Yes, it happened. In week 2, mind you, I am not fluent in Portuguese. I would say I'm an A2, but I've learned so many tenses in Portuguese right now, and I'm not able to hold long conversations. I'm just able to hold basic conversations for now, even though I've learned all the tenses and they seem quite easy for me. We did contractions, we did familia, vocabulário, we did comparativos, that's comparatives, we did irregular verbs, we did also myself, to talk about myself, who you are, and did a translation exam. It was getting harder and harder with the translation. So on week 3, we looked at food and everything about Brazilian food. We learned the preterite tense, we learned the irregular forms of the preterite, we learned personal infinitive, which can be very confusing. But it's very easy, but sometimes it confuses with confusions of active. And then we also learned gerunds. That was for week 3. Now week 4, we learned about habitation or place of stay. We learned imperfect tense. We learned about value. We learned about work environment. We also learned the future subjunctive. We learned the present subjunctive, and we learned future tense. We learned demonstrative verbs. So that was what we learned in 4 weeks and in 30 days. We also had some days to talk, like about some days what we used to learn. So this was what we learned in 4 solid weeks: translating complicated text, translating professional text. In my experience, it was wonderful. Mind you, we did not only concentrate on the grammar aspect, we did not only concentrate on translation, but we also had a fun aspect, which was the cultural aspect. Mostly the mistake that people do when they're learning language is to take out the cultural aspect of the language, but that was not that in my case. With all that I was saying, we also had time to go through the cultural part of the language. This was how my professor did it. He always came to class with songs, we would sing in class, we would watch some videos, some dances. It was so lovely. And as if that was not enough, he brought Brazilians to the class to have interactive sessions with us, where they talked about the country, they talked about the languages that are spoken in their country, or whatever part of Brazil they stayed or they were brought up. We talked about Brazilian songs. That was the climax of it. That was a big thing of it. We talked about Brazilian song, all the genres of Brazilian songs, and my favorite song is Românticos são poucos, românticos são livros do bailados. And that brings me to the end of this video, and the only thing that I regret with my class is not being able to have lots of time to practice already, because I love to speak a language. I learn language to speak, because I tell people you learn a language to speak, you don't learn a language to write. I'm going to make a video telling you the practical things I'm doing in order to sustain the language that I've learned, so that I cannot forget it. See you in my next video.